Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 291. We're with a YouTube content creator extraordinaire that focuses on real estate. She has quite literally written the book called YouTube for Real Estate Agents. Learn how to get free real estate leads, I think it is. I can't quite see the last word. But anyway, is definitely a book for about YouTube for real estate agents. We're real excited to have her. It's Karin Carr. Karin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. My name is Karin Carr. I am the leader of the Georgia Coast Homes team in Savannah, Georgia with Keller Williams. I have been licensed for almost 16 years at this point. Stumbled across YouTube about 4 years ago. Just thought it would be a branding strategy, a way to get my name out there. Turned out to be the best lead generation strategy that I ever could have possibly imagined. So I went all in with my YouTube content. Within a year, I was getting so much business from YouTube, I had to form a team. So we now have a team of 6 agents serving 4 different market areas. And YouTube is probably 98% of the way that we get all of our business. It's been amazing.
Well, we're really going to look forward to this, John and I, because we talk about this all the time. So, John, but before I just get lost in the sauce of YouTube, John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody that might be tuning into the show for the first time?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I'm really looking forward to the discussion with Karin because I've really enjoyed watching some of her videos. You do a great job, Karin. They're really great content, but you have a great way of expressing that knowledge in an entertaining way, Karin. So Mailright, I'm the founder of Mailright. We're a platform that uses the power of Facebook generally, but we can use YouTube as well to generate leads for you. And we have a platform that nurtures those leads. Plus, it has some other important elements. It's a great valued package. I'm very passionate about it. Spent a lot of time working on it, and we think we now have something that should be very attractive to the real estate agent. If you're interested, go over to Mailright, have a look at what we are offering, and book a free demo with me. You get half hour with me, and I will make sure that you get some value from the demo and some tips about maybe helping you get more leads online. Back over to you, Robert.
All right, my name is Robert Newman. I am an SEO guy that's been doing it for 14 years. If you, for some reason, are curious about real estate SEO, you can find it, all the information you need to know about how to do it and what you should look for and who's good at it, which I'll give you a secret news flash. Not very many people. So inside the real estate space, it's at inboundrem.com. So, John, I know that you've been really building up your appetite for this conversation. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off with your first question for Karin?
Yeah, sure. You know, a lot of people, a lot of real estate agents, Karin, are a bit fearful of video, live video on Facebook or using YouTube. They tend to do these very glitzy YouTube adverts, and that's about it. What do you think? Because your story about it being the main generator of leads for you and for your team is, you know, you don't get many agents say that. Have you got some quick tips and insights about what's different in the way that you've been using YouTube than what a lot of agents think about it?
Sure. I know that when I watch other YouTube channels from real estate agents, they're typically very glossy, very polished, and they come across as a commercial. And if I am the viewer watching stuff on YouTube, I'm not really there to watch a commercial. So when I started making my videos, I thought, I just want to be real. I am talking directly to my ideal client. I am telling them what they would need to know if they were interested in buying or selling a house in my market. I'm not a professional actress. I am not, driving up in my silver Ferrari, getting out wearing my, $1,000 suit, trying to act like I'm all super fancy. And all that kind of stuff. I kind of felt like that would make me seem much more unapproachable. And then people kind of like when I watch those real estate agents that are on $1 million listing and stuff, you look at them and you're like, wow, they're so cool. But it's almost like you're starstruck and you would think I could never work with that person because they're way up here and I'm just lowly me. Right. So I'm trying to be very real and normal in my videos. Now that doesn't mean that the videos are slapped together and poorly done. It just means that they're not super slick and polished, and I don't sell in my videos at all. I give all this information. Yes, I have a call to action always, but it's not, if you know anyone looking to buy or sell, call me. Here's my phone number, and my phone number is like splashing on the screen the entire time. I kind of have the opposite approach of just keep it really simple and authentic. And if people like your personality, that will resonate with them and they'll call you.
I've been looking more at your channel focused at other real estate agents, but I haven't looked that much your channel aimed for your actual brokerage or your actual team website.
Okay.
So
So
what
you
kind
can
of
search anything about living in Savannah, moving to Savannah,
Right.
relocating to Savannah, retiring in Savannah. You search any kind of stuff, you'll find the Georgia Coast Homes team in those search results.
Oh, that's great. So I was just that you must have read my mind. It's very easy to read my mind, actually. But you must have read my mind because I was going to ask you what content you specifically use on that particular channel, and you just given us. So basically, do you think that's the difference? Because you put your mind in the searcher and you try and provide answers to questions where I think with your intro, you were saying, and I agree with you, a lot of agents, they just use it as either a selling medium or they just show them the last really glitzy house that they have sold. Do you think that is the main difference?
Yeah, that's totally the difference. I think that people on YouTube are not looking for a specific house. And so if all you're doing is listing tours and putting them on YouTube, they typically get very few views unless you pay to run it as an ad. Those videos don't get a ton of views unless it's like a $4 million house and people just want to see it because the house was spectacular. But if it's the typical average house that's $250,000, $3,000, those videos will get like 37 views. They just don't, that's not really what people are going to YouTube to watch. And the way I stumbled on this was because I was writing blog posts for my website. So Robert, when you said you're the SEO guru, I was like, oh, okay, I got to figure out SEO. 5 years ago, I'd never even heard that term before. I did not know anything about SEO. And I was pretty much self-taught. I was watching lots of videos and blogs, and I started to understand the whole concept of it and thought, okay, so if somebody is researching online that they want to buy a house, what would they be looking for? If they're researching that they want to sell, what are they typing into the Google search bar? And how can I make a piece of content with that specific keyword so that my stuff will show up in the search results? And I started ranking my blog posts fairly, it took several months, but it started to work and then work very, very effectively. And then I started making videos and thought, well, YouTube is just a search engine as well. And it probably works on the same general principles that Google does. So why couldn't I take all of the SEO strategy that I'm using for my website and transfer it over to YouTube? So I just did. Like I didn't know if it would be successful or not, but I figured can't hurt to try. And lo and behold, it did. And so I created this channel specifically looking for buyers who are in the military who are relocating to Savannah because they have orders to appear at Hunter Army Airfield. So I was being very specific with the content on my channel. It was for buyers. It was for buyers in the military who were going to relocate to an area that they didn't know anything about. So I figured all of the content on the channel was trying to reach that specific person, and it was extremely effective. And within 6 months, that's where I was getting the vast majority of my business.
I think it's so great to hear that, because it's one of the things that me and Robert have been hammering away, Karin, is that find your niche, find your local niche, don't try and appeal to everybody. And I think that's one of the things that we've been hammering away, isn't it, Robert? So over to you, Robert.
Holy cow. Okay, well, for those of you listening, you can't see my screen. You can't see what. So while Karen's been sharing all this information, I have been just doing what drives John nuts and just typing away furiously and using some SEO tools that I have and basically trying to keep up with your comments. Like I've already opened up your blog and I've got your top ranking blog posts in front of me, so I know what keywords that you're ranking for there. So for those of you listening, I do want to actually, instead of asking a question, I will end with a question, but I'm going to say that some of what you've done, which is being said very fast, is very important for our listeners. So here's a few things that I'm noticing just right out of the gate. This is a very focused strategy, moving to Savannah, living in Savannah, moving from, targeting the military. These are niches, very established niches, a geo-specific niche, somebody moving from a certain place. You've got, you're actually on the first page for moving from Florida, which is a hell of a keyword to be on the first page for if you're a real estate agent. So, so what kind of got you on the track to understand in such a very specific way who you were trying to speak to?
Well, when I had the website, I actually lived in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's about 5 hours away from where I live now in Savannah. And I started blogging and I was writing very broad topics like what is earnest money and how long does it take to close on a house? And my husband is retired Air Force. So we're a military family. We've bought homes with our VA entitlement, all those things, but there was not an active military base in Atlanta. There's a base, but they don't have housing. So people are not moving in and out from the area. Then we relocate to Savannah and there's not only one base here, there's two. So I got very excited that I could finally start working with the military community again, because that's what I know the best. And I just felt like I don't know Savannah at all. I just moved here. I mean, I've literally been here for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm probably not the greatest person to talk about the area per se, because my parents live in Savannah, so I've been here a million times to visit, but I've never actually lived here. But I know the military life and I know buying houses and I know relocating cross country. Like I know all of those things. So I'm going to make content to help those people because I am very secure in what I'm talking about. And I can talk about all that stuff as I'm getting to know my new area, so that once I know where I'm going in all the different towns and I'm learning my way around. Now I can speak more knowledgeably about the area itself. But at first I was really talking about a lot of these military specific video topics.
Okay. And just for everybody, myself included, to kind of get a feel for how you stepped up your success over time on YouTube. So you start by speaking to the audience that you felt most comfortable with, if I understood you correctly.
Yep.
And that was military and relocation demographics within the area that you were living in. I'm also okay. So how effective was that right out of the gate? Because I know you're saying 80 or 90% of your business comes from YouTube right now, but that couldn't have been the case when you first started. You were just feeling around in the dark. So you must have backed into your first success without and been like, oh, I'm kind of surprised. I'm getting calls, right? And then you're building on that over time. And now it's like you're probably doing, really well with every video that you produce. But how did you back into those first, like how much business did those first videos generate for you? And then what were the lessons that you took along with you to make your second, third, and fourth iterations of these videos?
It's so funny that when I first started making videos, I had read a statistic that said something like, if you embed a YouTube video on your blog post, it is 43 times more likely to show up on the first page of Google. So I was making these videos and putting them on YouTube, because the way that my website works is if you want to embed a video, you just put the YouTube link in. You don't put the video on the website, you put the link on the website. I was using YouTube as like a repository of where to hold all this content that I could embed on my website to make the blog posts rank better. I had no idea anybody would be looking for these videos on YouTube. So when I got that first lead, I had not been consistent. I had not had a strategy. I was making videos, but with no strategy whatsoever, other than make something that I can embed on the blog post, because I already have the blog post written. And when I got that first call and he said, we've been watching all of your YouTube videos. We feel like we know you already. We're selling our house in New York. We're going to move to Georgia. We want you to be the one to represent us. It was like, ding, ding, ding. Oh my gosh. He said, I feel like I know you already. And it was not because of my blog post. It was because he'd watched the video instead. So at that point, I just had this epiphany of, I really need to go all in with video. And everybody at this point, this is now like middle of 2017, all of the big real estate coaches had been talking about video, 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 but they were mostly talking about social media video. And for me, this is not social media. This is more of a search engine. This is an SEO strategy. So I figured, okay, I'm just going to try this and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen is I make a bunch of videos, but nothing really happens from it. So at that point, I said, I'm going to make a weekly video, and every single week for 12 weeks. And then I got a come list me, which is very interesting because my target audience were buyers in the military. My first legit lead, was a listing who is not in the military. And so I always tell that to people. Just because you have a very specific niche does not mean you will not attract anybody outside of that niche. You'll still attract all kinds of different people. It just makes it easier for you to decide what you're going to talk about on this channel. And when I got that lead, I was like, that was the turning point for me. So yes, it took many months of consistent content before I got that first lead. But once that happened, then I got another listing, and then I started getting buyer leads, and then more and more and more. And now we probably get 2 or 3 leads a day on average. On a good day, we get like 5 or 6.
That's great. We need to go for a break, Robert.
Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to be talking to Karin more about her YouTube channel, and I'm going to have some comments about quality over quantity, which is one of my favorite topics. So stay tuned. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. It's episode 291. We are with Karin Carr, who is a realtor, an author, a video content producer. The book that she's written is about using YouTube for real estate. She's walking her talk and producing tons of business in the Georgia area, using YouTube as her main lead driver. And before we went to the break, we were talking about how she had started to see her very first success and what she did to kind of build momentum and build the foundations of what is her current business. John, before I go off on my question, because I've kind of steered the ship here for like the last 10 minutes, I want to give you an opening to ask something from your end.
Yeah, it was something that one of Karen's videos, and I put it to her before we went live on the podcast. And that's the difference, because I think a lot of agents really, when it comes to video, they want to get this viral video where one of your pieces, you talk about the difference between evergreen and viral content strategy. Do you think you can share some of your views about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what just happened to my camera. There we are back. So Evergreen is an amazing strategy because you make the piece of content one time, but it's relevant for weeks and months and years to come. And you're still getting business from that piece of content 3-4 years down the road. We get leads all the time from videos that I made in 2017. They're old. They're outdated maybe, but it's still considered evergreen content versus a listing tour, which is not evergreen content, because as soon as the house sells, that's no longer relevant. That information is completely outdated now and is not relevant at all. And so it tends to get a whole bunch of attraction at the very beginning, but then quickly fizzles out. Whereas Evergreen seems to build momentum over time. So you can post a video that might only get 20 views in the first week, and then maybe it gets 50 views in the following week, and then it gets 100 views, and then all of a sudden the YouTube algorithm picks it up and it goes crazy, and now it's getting thousands and thousands of views. So evergreen content to me is extremely valuable Because if you're going to spend, I always compare it to like door knocking. If you door knock a neighborhood and you go around, you knock on 50 doors, the minute you get in your car and you drive away, you're done. That's it. There's no more lead generation. Like you knocked on 50 doors, and of those 50, how many answered the door and had a conversation with you? Let's say it was 5. So you spend 3 hours to talk to 5 people. If I spend 3 hours to make a video, I can talk to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people from now until the end of time. It doesn't stop. It is so much of a better use of your time to do something that will just not ever stop. It's like having an assistant that never goes to sleep. They never get sick. They never take vacation. They are working for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
That's so well put. Thanks for sharing that. I think you put it so powerfully. That's why I love you, Karin. That's why I love your videos. Back over to you, Robert.
So a couple things that have come up, which maybe even might be relevant for you, Karin. So you and I you're so much speaking my language that I'm kind of, I feel in many ways like I'm talking to myself. So just one thing to add. So I also am a blogger. I'm a 14-year veteran in the real estate industry, and the first thing that I did on my blog was start to build topics up, thinking that I was going to drive traffic and attract eyeballs like yours to the site. And as part of that, though, I'd been researching SEO for well over a decade. So I have to say I was pretty knowledgeable when I started this company. But one of the things that I knew for fact was that adding YouTube video to these blogs was going to attract a deeper type of attention, keep people on the blog, and most likely get me better SEO results. That is literally the only reason I produced a video. My first few, I just literally only produced them because I knew it was a good SEO strategy. So I put the videos on the YouTube channel and I forget about them. And no sooner, I want to say a year after I started this thing, I started to cycle into my pattern with my clients. How did you find me? Why did you call me? Like, what got you to the point that you wanted to speak to me? And you know what, even to this day, this very moment, like right now, 99% of the time, because I have copious amounts of content out there at this point, and 99% of the time when people are saying, hey, I reached out, I contacted you, I used your appointment form, I used your contact form, it's always the same thing. I saw a YouTube video. They don't even mention the fact that they may have found me on a Google search for whatever the search was. They mention the blog or the video. So now I consider my blog, which gets about 10,000 people per month to it, I consider my blog actually a funnel into my videos, as opposed to the videos as a ranking tool for the blog. So that's a little bit of funny. I didn't know if you'd be interested in that or not, but I wanted to give you a little bit.
Yes, very much so. You want to hear something really interesting? So a couple of weeks ago, I got a lead and I said, how did you find me? And he said, I YouTubed living in Savannah. He didn't say I Googled living in Savannah. He said I YouTubed. So now people are using YouTube as the verb, meaning that is where they are going to look for the information. Yes, I have a ton of videos that rank on Google as well, but they're not only looking on Google and finding the videos, they're also going directly to YouTube to search for it now too, which I think is just so invaluable.
Yeah, so I think also, sorry, Robert, but also, I don't actually watch any American television. I gave up on it. There's only so many murders and assaults.
You don't like seeing people get shot in the head multiple times a day? I mean,
there's only so much my English temperament can take, actually. So I tend just to watch YouTube now. Our television isn't connected, actually. I must be with this rare breed that I don't actually have a cable package. I just watch it online through YouTube and a couple other services, and that's it. So I think that's also something which I think you pinpointed so clearly, isn't it, Karin? That a lot of people, they're using YouTube really to get almost all their advice from, aren't they?
They really are. And I talk to people all the time that say, like, a gentleman called me yesterday from, where did he live? He lives in Seattle, I believe, and said, I've just accepted a job in Savannah. I'm going to go work for Gulfstream that makes the private jets. They're a huge employer here in Savannah. I've never even been there before. I've never been there on vacation. I know less than nothing about it. Found your YouTube channel, started watching all of your videos. Now I have very specific questions about this town, and this town. And he is using that as the foundation for his research to decide if he should accept this position. Because if he moves here, A, is he going to like it? B, is he going to be able to afford it? Is he going to have the lifestyle that he envisions based on, what his budget is for his house? And when they find your channel and you're not selling anything, you are being the opposite of a salesperson. You're just trying to be helpful and answer their questions and be a resource for them. They get to know, like, and trust you. So now when they say, okay, we're doing it. We're taking this job. I am coming there. I'm going to be there on June 15th. I'm going to be there for 5 days. I want to be under contract on a house by the time I get back on the plane and go back to Seattle. You are our person. It's so easy to say, fantastic. Here is my exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. Please sign. And they don't push back on it. They don't say, well, no, I'd really like to talk to 5 other agents and I'm going to find the person who's going to give me a rebate on their commission. They say, how fast can you send it to me in DocuSign? Because I'm ready to sign it right now.
That's great. I think we got, and hopefully Karen's up for some bonus content. Are you up for some bonus content, Karen?
Absolutely.
We need to wrap up the podcast part of the show, Robert. I think we've got enough time for another question from you, and then we need to wrap it up, Robert.
Actually, Karen, John, I'm not going to do a question. I'm going to do a statement, but I think it's relevant, and it's certainly relevant for Karen. So Karen, I just found out right now during this podcast, doing some searches for relocating to Savannah, Georgia, that Google has once again changed their search results. And John, I emailed this to you. I took a screenshot and sent it to you. But here's what they did. They've actually increased the size of the search results that contain a video that they like. And as part of that increased space inside the search results, one, they've done video index benchmarking, which is where they've put little points on the search result. And 2, they're talking about memorable moments inside the video. So this is an incredible increase in space inside the search results that contain video. This is literally Google making 300% more space.
Isn't that amazing? I saw that last week. I was doing an incognito search just to see where our videos were ranking, and I could see like key moments in the video listed out below it. It was like, holy cow, that is so cool that they're doing that now. And then it also helps you create future videos thinking, okay, what are the key moments that I would want to talk about in this video, hoping that that's what would be displayed right along with it.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, if John doesn't have anything, what I'm going to ask you, Karen, is I'm going to ask you for some specific tips about topics that you, with all this experience that you have, what would you be talking about if you wanted to generate leads today? You've got 4 years of history. That's what I'm going to tee up as the subject when we come back and deliver our bonus content for those people that swing over to the Mail-Right YouTube channel and check out the video portion of the interview. All right, we'll be back in a moment for those of you who stay with us. Oh, one last thing before I forget. Karen, if somebody was to look you up, how would you, I know you have a lot of different websites and a lot of different stuff. How would you want them to find you?
I would say go to my YouTube channel for agents, because all I do is give tips on how to make videos that will help you get more business. And my YouTube channel is just Karin Carr, Karen with an I.
Okay. And John, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would you like them to do that?
It's really easy. Just go to the mail-right.com. I'm very approachable, and you can book a free demo, which is not only a demo. I also try and give some value and look at your online marketing.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to reach out to me, Robert Newman, you can find me on the inboundrem.com website. Just use the contact form. Be happy to talk to you about any questions that you have about SEO, marketing, real estate lead generation. The list goes on and on and on. How fabulous I thought Karen was. You can ask me about that too. All All right, so with no further ado, we will catch you the next time for those of you listening to the podcast. Goodbye. 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back to the Mail Right Show. This is the video part of our interview. We are here today. It's episode 291. We're with Karin Carr, who is a YouTube extraordinaire. She's become so convinced or excited about the strategy of YouTube. She's literally written a book on it. She's got numerous websites. She's got a real estate website that she produces her real estate business off of. She's got KarinCarr.com, which she talks about YouTube on. She's written a book. It goes on and on and on. But Karin, what I'd like to talk to you about now in the second part of the show is I would like to ask you a real estate lead generation question specifically. And the question that I have, which I'm always trying to figure out what the answer is for my clients, is you have a lot of topics that you can build video off of. Like, let's just say, okay, you're sold, YouTube is the way to go. What you don't know, though, necessarily are the kinds of videos that are going to actually generate you leads, because you have all sorts of topics, right? You can do neighborhood videos. You could talk about the 10 best reasons to live in a city. You can talk about relocating somewhere. It's really actually a lot of stuff that you can talk about. So if I was to say to you, hey, I want to generate a lead using YouTube and I'm a real estate agent, what would you advise me to do?
It is definitely easy to capture leads from outside of the area that are relocating into your area because they don't already know 75 real estate agents. So if you are in an area where people are moving in, and even if you're somewhere like you're in the middle of, I don't know, Nebraska, where maybe there's not a huge influx of people moving to your city, there are still people that are moving to where you live from somewhere else. They're moving there because they're retiring, because they want to be closer to their kids. They want to be closer to their parents. They've got a new job. For some reason, there are people that are moving there. That is it's like shooting fish in a barrel, quite honestly, because they are a captive audience. They are online doing the research, trying to find information, and very few people are present giving the answers to their questions other than Zillow and Redfin and all of these big, huge platforms. Yes, they have a lot of information on there, but they're not very specific, are they? They're very broad. They've never been to your town. They don't know anything about it. But if you're the boots on the ground, hyper local expert answering their questions, you quickly become their trusted advisor. And that has been the backbone of our entire channel and our blog. That's how we get the vast majority of our business. So if you know that that's the person you're trying to attract, what are they Googling? What are they searching for? If you found out, I just got a new job offer in Timbuktu and I'm being transferred there and I've never been there before, I don't know anything about it, what would you personally be searching for on Google? Just put yourself in their shoes and figure out what they want to know. And then I like to do keyword research to find out what are they actually typing into the Google search bar and how competitive is it. I like to use keywords everywhere. It's a very simple, easy to use tool. It's cheap, it's user friendly, and it helps me so much be able to say, well, this particular keyword gets a ton of searches, but it's extremely competitive. And if I'm going to show up on page 15 of the search results, I'm not even going to waste my time. I want to rank for the long tail keywords that are less competitive. So I show up not only on page 1, but preferably at the top of page 1.
That is amazing advice, John.
I just love it. I just wanted, like I say, I watched about, I think, half a dozen of your videos. One that kind of stuck in my mind was about the millionaire agent New York, where he was talking about that he gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sends off his email. And I think what you said about that is still very relevant, is that you can have a life and still be very efficient. Would you like to remark about that? Because it really gelled with me what you said in that particular video.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. I am extremely anti-hustle and grind. I just don't think that in order to be successful in real estate, you need to be working 80 hours a week. it is not a badge of honor to say I woke up at 4 a.m. and started emailing my clients before I even got dressed and went to the gym. And then I worked until 11 o'clock at night. Why? Like, you need to have a life. You need to have work-life balance. You need to be able to go on vacation. You need to see your children once in a while. You need to do fun things like garden and do whatever it is that you like to do. You can't work all of the time. And if you're making all this money and it makes you extremely successful, you don't even have the time to enjoy it if you're working 80 hours a week. What is the point? I am actively working toward working 30 hours a week or less. That is my goal. Right now I'm around maybe 35. And I have a coach, and every week I have to report my numbers to my coach. And she's like, are you at 30 hours yet? And I'm trying really hard to be able to do it. And the way I do that is by delegating. I have virtual assistants. I have a team. And as much as I can get off of my plate so that they do all of the things that need to get done, but they don't need to get done by me.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's another video you just that I watched where you remarked about a lot of agents are terrible about allowing other people to take over delegation. They tend to be control freaks, don't they?
They do. So, they think that nobody else can do it as good as I can. No one can do it as well as me. Therefore, I can't relinquish any control. And I used to feel that way too. It is absolutely a limiting belief that I had to work on a lot. And then once I started delegating and I saw how much time I got back, I went on a hiring spree. And now I've hired so many people, and I just can't, like, I'm going to make this a 7-figure business before too much longer. And the reason I do it is because I'm not doing it all myself. That I could not possibly grow the business if I was trying to do everything myself.
Well, you just burn out, wouldn't you? You just totally burn out. It's not sustainable. It just isn't sustainable, is it?
Right.
No. Over to you, Robert.
All right. So I have one. I want to close out the last few minutes of our bonus topic with this message, and I am personally extremely happy with my choice. So hopefully you two will be as well. You said something in the very beginning of the show, and I opted not to follow up with it. John, this is as much for you as it is for Karin, but I'm on your channel, Karin. I'm noticing that you have 9,666 subscribers, which, by the way, is a very healthy number. However, there are YouTubers out there that have millions, and there are people in the real estate sector that have 10, 20, 30,000 as well, even some real estate marketers. I just want to say that I really like your number. And the reason that I really like your number is I only have 1,506 subscribers as of today. It's taken me 3 years to get those 1,506 subscribers. You know what the funny thing is that when I was thinking about how I was going to do my content, the direction that I moved in was doing these really deep, really complicated technical dives in real estate technology platforms that I compete against, such as Sierra Interactive and Real Estate Webmasters and Boomtown. And I spend 20 hours researching the platform, and then I do like an hour-long video talking about the platform, which means that about 80% of the real estate audience that I'm speaking to tunes out in the first 5 minutes. So you're probably asking the question of why in the world would you spend all that time? Well, the handful of people that actually stick through my reviews really seem to understand the effort and the love. Like when they call me, it plays into what you just said. Half the time, all they're calling me for is to see if they can afford whatever they've offered. Because if the answer is yes, they're in. That's it. Sale is over. Already happened via the YouTube videos. Already done. So it plays both into the time, the quality of life that you're talking about right now that you just opened up. And it also plays into quality over quantity, I think. So I'm going to serve that up to you, Karin, and say, what are your thoughts about that overall statement, and how do you feel about quality versus quantity, that kind of thing?
I agree 100%. I mean, I would love to have a video that gets 2 million views. I'm not going to lie. I would love to have that. Is that required to get business? Absolutely not. And if you do get 2 million views on a video, it's not going to be all from people that want to buy or sell a house in your market. I mean, it's just not physically possible. How many people live in my market? Like 350,000 people. So to get a video that gets 2,000 or 2 million views, they're not all quality prospects for me. I would much prefer to get 100 views on a video and get 3 paying clients out of it than get 30,000 views on a video where I get lots of likes and comments, but it doesn't translate into closed business. And, when I started this channel, it was not with the goal of becoming a real estate influencer, becoming a YouTuber, becoming a viral sensation. It was to drive traffic to my hyper local business to get clients that wanted to buy or sell a house in my market, because that's what I do for a living. I am a realtor. This is simply the vehicle that helps me reach more people who want what I have to offer, versus me running ads or just posting on social and kind of like putting my stuff in front of them over and over and over again, hoping that the few people who actually care might see it. I feel like on YouTube, 100% of the people who watch my videos actually care about it, because if they didn't, they would not be doing a search for it and it would not show up. And YouTube would not recommend it to a viewer based on their previous watch history and other stuff that they like to watch. Like, this great example, my husband and I bought a new house a few months ago and it had a chicken coop. So I've never had chickens before. I don't know anything about chickens. And I'm on YouTube going, how do you have backyard chickens? How often do you have to clean out the coop? How often do you feed them? Like, what do you need to know? Prior to this, I never, ever, ever, ever in a million years would have been surfaced a video about having backyard chickens on YouTube. Never, right? They never would have shown it to me. Now, every time I get on YouTube, that's all I see, because they know what I have previously watched, what I have engaged with, what I have subscribed to, what I've liked, what I've commented on, all of the things. So if people are seeing your videos, it's because they are telling YouTube that they are interested in this topic. Seriously, the number of views and the number of subscribers is just not that important, as long as your content is getting in front of the person who wants what you have to offer.
That is, so John, do you have any closing thoughts as we wrap up here?
I think we just need to close this, guy. I think that was the high point. Hopefully you'll come back later on in the year, Karin, and join us again. You never know with a new guest what you're going to get. You've met my expectations, and I personally have really enjoyed the conversation, Karin. I think we've given a lot of value in our discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say this is officially one of my top 2 podcasts as it relates to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
You really communicate clearly about it. You've got an extremely focused strategy. You're applying it. I personally relate to a lot of what you say. My objective with being an entrepreneur is to work less, not more. That's very opposite than what a lot of people do. I get very upset. I mean, I don't get upset, but I'm not, like, when I look at the days that I'm on the phone with clients for 12 hours, those are not the days that I look at as ultimate victories. I look at the days where my business is running smoothly and I'm working 4 or 6 hours and I go, that was a great day, So, anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to echo John's sentiment and hope that you'll consider adding us to your video promotion, book promotion tour, maybe a few more months down the road. I will be much better prepared and probably have some really cool questions for you based on having watched a whole bunch of your videos.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So that's it. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, so let's end the show, and we'll be back next week with another great guest and hopefully another great discussion. So we'll see you soon. Bye.
Goodbye.